Pro-life or pro-choice, pro-abortion or anti-abortion. Norma McCorvey, or as you may know her, Jane Roe, was the woman behind Roe v. Wade back in 1973, and she paved the way for abortion rights throughout the country. Later in 1990, the court reaffirmed a woman's constitutional right to choose. Fast forward to 2020, and the Supreme Court is about to overturn Roe and Casey. What exactly is this going to mean for abortion laws? We'll find out in today's video. My name is Sina Rez Law. I'm a lawyer here in Santa Monica, California. My specialties are personal injury and lemon law. I love to break down the latest news in the legal world, and I cover everything from your constitutional rights to the latest celebrity lawsuit and really everything in between. If you're into that, make sure that you like and subscribe. We've all heard of the landmark case Roe v. Wade, but have you heard of the case Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization? Chances are, even if you don't recognize that name, you probably have heard something about this case. Dobbs is the pending abortion rights case before the Supreme Court, and the opinion in this case is likely going to eliminate the federal protection of the right to have an abortion and leave the issue to be determined by each state. Here's a quick history lesson about Roe v. Wade. The case involved Norma McCorvey, she was the plaintiff, who went by the legal pseudonym Jane Roe. She did this to protect her identity throughout the case. McCorvey wanted to have an abortion, but she was living in Texas at the time, where abortion was mostly illegal. So she sues Henry Wade, the local district attorney, and that's where we get the name Roe v. Wade, and she alleges that the Texas abortion laws are unconstitutional. The case made it all the way up to the Supreme Court in 1973, where they held in a 7-2 majority opinion in favor of McCorvey. The court said that the right to an abortion is protected under the constitutional right to privacy. The court did, however, say that the right to an abortion is not absolute, and it must be balanced against the government's interest in protecting women's health and prenatal life. The court's ruling in Roe was met at the time with some criticism within the legal community, and some people said that this was an act of judicial activism by the court. The Supreme Court revisited and revised its decision in Roe in a 1992 case called Planned Parenthood v. Casey. In Casey, the court reaffirmed its decision in Roe, saying that women have a constitutionally protected right to have an abortion. But remember, the right to an abortion is not absolute, and there's a balancing test. So the court in Casey actually updated and changed the balancing test that we originally found in the Roe decision. In May of 2022, an initial draft of the majority opinion authored by Justice Samuel Alito was leaked, and it showed that the court seems to be leaning towards, while it's true we've only seen an initial draft of the opinion and the final version is going to likely look much different, it's very unlikely that the meat of the decision is going to change. According to Justice Alito, a right should only be protected by the Constitution if it was actually written into the Constitution, if it was being contemplated at the time the Constitution was being drafted, or if there's a long-standing history of protecting that right. However, there are many constitutionally protected rights that don't necessarily meet this criteria. Some examples are the right to marriage, the right to procreation, the right to contraception, the right to raise your kids how you deem fit, and many, many more. It's very likely that the court is going to overrule both Roe and Casey. So what's going to happen to abortion rights in the future? Estimates seem to indicate that about 20 to 26 states will outlaw or mostly outlaw abortion shortly after the opinion becomes official. Keep in mind that about 1 in every 4 or 5 women has an abortion in their lifetime. So the impact of this decision, whether you agree with it or not, is likely going to be huge. For now, this pending ruling will only affect abortion, but opponents fear that this is going to serve as a blueprint or a framework in how to roll back other recently granted rights, such as the right to same-sex marriage or the right to contraception. The Supreme Court issues several opinions every single year, but we can all agree that the Dobbs decision is going to be nothing short of monumental. Keep in mind that there is more than one way to create a law. There's case law such as Roe v. Wade, Dobbs, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, but there's also legislation, which are laws that are enacted by Congress. Congress can enact legislation that federally protects the right to have an abortion, and at the same time, they can enact legislation that bans the right to have an abortion. And if Congress does either of those, abortion rights will no longer be left to state governments. Are you in favor of a woman's right to choose, or do you believe that every life should be protected at all costs? Let me know below in the comment section. My name is Sina Rez Law. I appreciate you watching this video, and remember, this is not legal advice.